Now joining us to discuss this is the former chairman of APC Cross River State, now chairman governing board, Rubber Research Institute Benin, Alphonsus Oga. Good morning and thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning. Happy New Year to you. Good morning, Nigerians. My pleasure to be here.
Happy New Year to you.
And in our introduction, she forgot to add your
the political
moniker,
evangelist.
The political evangelist.
I should have added
yes.
that. Thank you for reminding me. Going out to add that. Let's talk about the elections. You know, there's been a congratulation of the winners of the elections. One of the most controversial ones of the three between FCT, Kano, and Rivers was the elections in the FCT. But let's get your sense of the controversies that have been highlighted in the FCT elections. There were those who talked about mutilated results. You know, there were some concerns about how the election was carried out, especially because there was a curfew hours before, which has never happened with the FCT council polls. So let's get your sense about the pushback from those who do not agree with the reactions of the election.
First, let me use this opportunity to say that you have a tactical way of bringing me out since December. Today is my first public outing on television.
Oh, thank you for
honoring. Let me also start by congratulating Mr. President, who even though has congratulated all the critical players, I must congratulate him for providing a sound political environment that saw to a very free and fair election. I was here and I monitored everything here. That despite the few complaints that have been said, you will recall that INEC itself has come up to say that the record of 1,200 and something that was being stated was a typo error by one of the POs, and it's an isolated case. On the issue of the curfew before that day, yeah, a lot has been said about that, but this is not the first time a curfew will be placed. And Minister Nyesom Wike is the chief security officer, so to say, of the FCT. Perhaps there were information at his disposal that were not made known to people like you and myself and others who complained. But all is well that ends well. That happened did not stop or negate the voters from coming out, because there was even an improvement in terms of the participation of this election from previous election in the FCT. I have lived in Abuja for 31 years now, and I have followed the trajectory of the democratic process and elections and how it goes since 1999 till date. So I can plainly say that this was one very free and fair election, that the reward that was given to President Asiwaju Bola Tinubu through the performance of Minister Nyesom Wike was well deserved. And again, I join Mr. President in congratulating the winners and in urging those that lost to take this with philosophical equanimity.
Mr. Alphonsus Oga, is it the person who writes the exam that scores himself and applauds himself? I know that you are a member of the APC. I don't expect you to say anything different, right, regarding that. But I want us to speak to the weight of these complaints, and we'll take them one after the other, but we need to go on a break, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation. All right, welcome back. We're still analyzing the congratulatory message sent by the president to the winners of the by-elections, and also just getting a general sense of the feelings of Nigerians. We're joined by Alphonsus Oga, who is the former chairman of APC Cross River State and is now the chairman governing board, Rubber Research Institute Benin. Thank you once again for joining us. Before we went on the break, I did say to you that, you applauded Mr. President for carrying out a free, fair, and credible election. But I said to you that there were some people who had pushed back. And of course, I expect that you would applaud the president, especially because you're a member of the party. Most of the members of the party will see it as free, fair, and credible. But one of the key complaints that I did see was, first of all, I hear you say that Mr. Nyesom Wike is the chief security officer of the FCT. But the question is, in what capacity was he moving around from polling unit to polling unit? In the videos that were being shown on that day, our correspondents were on ground and captured the FCT minister taking walks. Many interpreted this as a show of subtle force or covert coercion that would influence the choices that people made. So do you not see this as an action that should not have happened on an election day, especially because he's not even able to vote in the FCT? He should have been in River State voting. Unfortunately, he wasn't in River State.
Let me say this for the record. If you have followed my live, you would know that I speak true to power and I say things the way they are. 2 years ago, there was hunger in this land. People were going on hunger protest. I wrote a personal letter to Mr. President to say, Mr. President, I am your faithful disciple. There was hunger in the land. People misinterpreted that to be an anti-party activities, but with the passage of time, today, everybody say, oh, you were courageous in saying that. So the truth is, I did not just make that statement because I'm an APC member. I gave you a background by saying that I have followed through and through in the electoral processes in Abuja. And this is one isolated one where we must commend the actions of the actors from Mr. President through INEC, the security agencies, and my party, the leadership of my party, Professor Nentawe, well organized. In fact, shortly before then, we spoke, we chatted. He told me how focused he was in this election. And the result that came out was a product of the well-arranged system that gave us this victory. But the unsung hero remained Minister Nyesom Wike. You will also know that I'm not one of the persons that is Governor or Minister Wike's friend. For me to be commending him today, I must say this, that he has become
on what basis are you commending him?
A forest. And why am I saying this? It's infrastructural development in the FCT. And during the campaigns, he said he was going to support anybody that was supporting Mr. President. Even though not being a member of the APC, he came out openly to campaign for candidates of our party. And he could mention that this is what Mr. President has done. This is what the APC government I serve has done. It is only good for you to reward them. People come out and were swayed by that. So some of the factors that determine that. The ministry, the party, also the leadership of the party made a very good choice. The son of the soil. For instance, in Abuja Municipal Area Council, Christopher Mekilambu is a baggy son that is so loved, who has performed. He decided to give him a ticket when he crossed over. And so, everybody said, no, let us appreciate the APC. So, it is good and it is right. It is just for people to complain if they have their own views. But the movement of Nyesom Wike from one polling unit to the other, I was told that he moved around just 3 polling units. You will also know that people can accredit to be observers on election day. He is not a voter in FCT. If he decides to an observer tag, to move around to say, let me observe what is happening, he was not going to influence anything. By his nature, he was not going to do anything on election day. So people should not say an isolated visit about 3 polling units would have influenced any outcome. That election was won ahead of time because the party has performed, the president has performed, APC has become a household name, not in every house alone, but in every bed that exists in Nigeria today. You can see the number of persons that have been attracted to APC. And this is one thing we say. Let the work of Mr. President speak for us. We should not forget the former Minister of Sports and all the opposition elements. And it was in this station I told you that any coalition that cannot coagulate or agglutinate is tantamount to a political dysentery that requires to be cured to the administration of a drug called APC.
Mr. Alphonsus, I mean, just to mention before my colleague asks you the question, that it's interesting that you say that you can be an election observer by going to 3 different polling units. This is somebody that everyone knows has been an overt supporter of the All Progressives Congress, has thrown his support behind President Bola Tinubu, not just in actions, but even in words. So you see him going around to 3 polling units, and you tag this as, you know, he can just be a mere election observer. That I'm not sure I quite understand that.
We don't agree with that. Let's just quickly state here that, I mean, we know our jobs and we know the work. We know everybody has their own title. I mean, you are sitting there as a representative of the APC and as a commissioner. You cannot add a feather as an anchor, a presenter to your wing, because obviously we would say you are not. So I think we just need to clarify so that we do not carefully or carelessly, I beg your pardon to use that word, mislead Nigerians. What was done should never be done, and we should not condone such, because we're building a future of democracy that I'm sure in your time, when you are done with politics, you would start regretting why the next generation will do even more, worse, because of the foundation we've set. So, if you don't mind, let's call a spade a spade. the minister was not supposed to go around to the polling units. It is not allowed.
Maybe you did not hear me well.
Go ahead, sir.
I told you that the practice over time has been that you can choose to accredit yourself as an observer, not minding which political party or candidate you support.
So was Wike an accredited
if you are allowed
observer?
to wear that observer toga, you can visit. It's done everywhere in every election. Most of the people you see are not just civil society people doing observers work. I have been in the opposition party before. I was in PDP. I am in APC today. While we were there, it used to be the practice. While I'm here today, people do it. There is nothing that I have said that if you go as an observer, you cannot move from one unit to the other. This is the point I was saying.
This is a minister,
and
not an observer.
It is not anything to pick any offense. No, I'm being very honest with you.
Okay.
What you understand as politics in practice is also different.
Okay.
Today, it has become an illegal act.
Okay.
It is an opportunity for the law to be amended to that effect. To say if you are a supporter of any candidate of a political party, you are prevented completely under any guise to move from any unit to another unit to observe elections.
So my question is...
It is not the exclusive reserve.
And my question is in response to what you have said, was His Excellency Nyesom Wike, the Minister of the FCT, moving from polling to polling units as an accredited election observer based on your assessment?
Because I do not have those facts to know whether he was accredited. He accredited himself as an observer, and I do not have those facts. If it is the reason for why he was living there, there is nothing good about it. This is what I made out of this.
Well,
now, Mr. Eba, many civil society organizations and Nigerians have observed the shrinking democratic space in Nigeria, where we've seen the widespread defection to the ruling All Progressive Congress. And also, the APC seems to be intolerant of opposition parties meeting and going about their duties. We've seen disruptions of party meetings in Lagos, in Benin, in Kaduna, and also Kano, and they say these are very ominous signs of what is to come in 2027. What would you say to this?
If that allegation is true, I totally condemn it as anti-democratic, because the right of peaceful assembly is constitutionally guaranteed. And there should be no reason why the ruling party should disrupt any such gathering. But we are in a country where allegations are made sometimes very, very unfounded. And I want to take one isolated case. I observed when the former National Assembly member, Victor Wai, mentioned how he was being disallowed from attending the ADC meeting at His Excellency John Odige Oyegun's premises. And the outcome of aftermath of that happened, whether a reaction from aggrieved members of the same party was now misinterpreted to mean that it was championed by the APC. Some of these allegations, I call on security agencies to please investigate. And when we are culpable, we be punished for it, because it's completely anti-democratic. I do not support such. People should be allowed to do their own thing. And I know that politics is local. We will win somewhere, we will lose somewhere. We lost the election in Gwagwalada, and I am sure after analysis, if there's need to go to tribunal, we might not need to go. Our people should not become so desperate to give us any wrong appellation that we are intolerant to opposition gathering. This is my advice to any member of the APC that is reported to be indulged in that, with no matter how highly placed and from wherever angle. We don't do that in Cross River State. During my time, I give room for every kind of meetings. I relate across party lines. And that is why we call the principle of evangelism to even do much to win souls from the opposition to our party. So you can walk to the premises of the opposition, greet them, eat with them, drink with them, and they will see that level of conviviality. You might be attracted by what you stand for. So we will share the same template to areas where that is not being practiced. But I condemn that if at all it is true.
Okay, let's also look at the impact that this has led to. But maybe to go back to statements that are being made, especially most of these statements have been traced to be made by APC members. I'll take one of them. The FCT minister openly said that anyone who is not voting or who is not supporting the APC definitely will not get his support. There's a video also in circulation, which I believe you've seen, where he said that everybody should just vote and leave the rest to him. Then we have issues of people making strong statements against non-APC members. I mean, what's your take on this, where people have made very strong statements that ordinarily should be able to put them in the eyes of the EFCC or the DSS, but maybe because they are members of the APC, there wouldn't be any form of having them invited for questioning?
Yes, let me say this. My experience over time in politics is there are some banters, there are some jibes that we throw during campaigns. And I want to suggest, I want to believe that the statements, because I did not also listen to that, to give any credence to, but you are a journalist, so you are more informed in getting all the news. And if there is any such thing, oh, if you don't support APC, you will not get my support. It's a diplomatic persuasion that comes with some little banter and jibes. I do not think that that is incriminating. I do not think that that has any consequence. God can leave the rest to me. It has always been the issue that, just go and vote. If we vote the outcome of this election, they will take it away from us. And then the 001 of FCT, he said, just go and do your own. Your own is just vote. I used to say it and still chairman. And I would tell people, I said, please just go your own, go and vote. Leave the rest to us. We will help you protect this vote. While you are sleeping, we will be the one following from collation from one point to the other until it gets to final collation to ensure that the will you have expressed in our favor is not truncated. And I had the privilege of studying English for 3 years. Constructions. Whatever you add, the ability to get the synthetic approach, the semanticity is what is important. The statement, do your own and leave the rest to me. Noam Chomsky of the traditional grammarian or the M.A.K. Halliday School of Thought, they come back today, will not come and tell you that that statement should be interpreted to have any criminal alienation or any illegal connection that should call for questioning. So it is not because they are supporting the ruling party. That is why they should be shielded. That statement in itself is not sufficient, and I do not think it carries any force to call for such questioning.
Would you have the same reaction if it was one of the opposition leaders who was maybe in charge that had made a statement like that, who had said, insisted on his party being the winning party, and let's assume that the opposition was in power, would you have the same reaction? Would you treat it as
say the same thing? Call me back 10, 20 years after now, I will say the same thing. God keeping us alive.
Okay.
Now, let's talk about, what the next steps are and what this 2026 elections or these recently concluded elections in Kano, Rivers, and Abuja tell you about preparedness for 2027 election. There's a lot of apprehension in the air about the 2027 elections and what might be the outcome of the elections. It feels that we have been preparing for 2027 from 2025. So let's get your sense of your expectations for the general elections, the big one.
In saying the level of preparedness, let me take it from the angle of INEC. And let me use the opportunity again to congratulate the new INEC chairman. This outing shows that he's a serious man, a man I have always known for integrity, a man I've always known for hard work and honesty. He has done not less. The issue of even the real-time transmission, we have also saw it in display because so much internet connectivity and coverage within FCT. We can only move from that level to the next level. And I must commend the actions of even all political parties. I think apart from pockets of issues in 1 or 2 polling units where there were some disagreements, there was no real violence, so to say, that led to any loss of life or destruction of property in the proportion that we have seen over time. On the angle of the political party APC, I must thank our leaders. And again, I commend leadership of Professor Nentawe, because what he has shown is what we all have seen as a departure from the previous time. In the last administration, the APC government lost election at the polling unit in the villa. This time we swept clean. It means Mr. President has done so well. It means my party has done so well. We are therefore prepared to face the 2027 election without fears. The security agencies, they did so well. Their deployment, their coverage, their effectiveness. I also commend their action.
All right.
The opposition, I must thank them for coming to add more vibe, because the campaigns showed the presence of wings from both the ruling party and the opposition.
Unfortunately, we are out of time, Mr. Alphonsus Eba. We have to wrap up the conversation now. We're out of time, but I get the sense from where you stand that you're thoroughly impressed and excited about 2027 and what that holds. And we'll just be counting down the months and see if your excitement will match the reality. Thank you for joining us and sharing your thoughts this morning.